Welcome back to our channel, Cluster B Productions, where we expose the dark underbelly of the Cluster B online community. In our last Exposé documentary, we unveiled the shocking truth about Rose, Lin, and Nick, three Quora users masquerading as supportive advocates while engaging in bullying, abuse, smear campaigns, and trying to drive users off Quora. If you haven't seen that video yet, we highly recommend checking it out for the full context of their deceitful actions. Please note that since the last exposé, we have obtained new evidence suggesting that Rose is not a real person after all, but is, in fact, another one of Lin Ritter's alt accounts. Yes, if you haven't already realized, Lin Ritter catfished DNT using her Rose account, pretending to be a younger woman named Rose, much to the horror of DNT. Today, we're diving even deeper into the twisted world of Lin Ritter, a self-proclaimed victim of abuse who has gone to extreme lengths to maintain her facade. In reality, she is a delusional 70-year-old sadistic narcissist. Yes, Ritter presents herself as a supportive advocate against narcissistic abuse, always ready to speak out against mistreatment. However, the reality couldn't be more different. Beneath this facade, Lin is a textbook narcissist herself, using her platform not to help victims, but to manipulate, control, and abuse others while hiding behind a mask of concern and empathy. Her actions show that she's less interested in supporting victims and more focused on gaining power and attention for herself. After being called out on Quora for having more than a dozen alt profiles that she uses to troll, bully, and harass users with the intention of driving them away from Quora. Not to mention her toxic behavior, catfishing, and the countless lies surrounding her identity, Lin has resorted to the most desperate tactic imaginable, faking her own death. Join us as we unravel the layers of deception that Lin has woven, revealing not only her manipulative tactics, but also the alarming reality of her delusional mental state. In this follow-up exposé, we will present the shocking timeline of events surrounding Lin's fake death announcement, the glaring inconsistencies within her story, and the disturbing evidence of her continued online harassment. So let's look at the evidence that Lin's death is another one of her delusional fantasies. Here's the timeline of events. On September 25, 2024, a shocking announcement was made on Lin Ritter's account, supposedly written by her daughter. The message in Lin's bio claimed that she had passed away at 5:35 a.m. that very morning. This statement caught the attention of several users, and soon, several glaring inconsistencies emerged, raising doubts about the authenticity of this heart-wrenching announcement. The timeline of events immediately seemed suspicious. Firstly, how could Lin's daughter claim that there were already hundreds of messages from grieving friends when the announcement had only just been made? It's simply not plausible for hundreds of messages to accumulate in such a short time, especially since users didn't even know Lin was dead until the announcement was posted. This inconsistency was just one of many red flags that started to emerge. Another thing that seemed not quite right was Lin was supposed to have died early that morning. But instead of grieving, her so-called daughter logged into Lin's Quora account just a few hours later and immediately started adding new admins to Lin's spaces, admins that just so happened to be Lin's own alt accounts. Doesn't that seem a little odd? I mean, if this was a genuine death, the last thing anyone would be worried about is adding new admins to their deceased mother's Quora spaces. Most people would be grieving or notifying family and friends. But Lin's daughter prioritized keeping Lin's Quora spaces running, which is a little bit suspicious, don't you think? The next red flag came right after the death announcement when Lin logged into her Erica Jameson account, a well-known alt of hers as revealed in the previous video, and asked, "Where is Lin Ritter? Who owns this space? She hasn't been on in weeks now." This was especially cringeworthy considering Erica is just another one of Lin's own alts. It was a pathetic attempt to create the illusion that she had a circle of concerned friends, all while allowing her to spread the news of her supposed death. It's clear she was fishing for sympathy and attention, making the whole charade even more transparent and embarrassing. For those familiar with Lin's deceptive ways, it was obvious that this question was merely a ploy to create the illusion that other users were worried about her and get the news of her death out there quickly. Next, Lin immediately logged into her other well-known alt, Connie Walker, and answered Erica's question within minutes. In a suspiciously rapid sequence of events, she posted a screenshot of Lin's bio, declaring to the world that Lin had died during an emergency operation. Then, Lin immediately signed into her third alt, Carly Holden, and shared Connie's post. This hurried response not only raised eyebrows, but also made it painfully obvious to those users with more than one brain cell that it was Lin herself signing into different accounts. The more perceptive Quora users couldn't help but roll their eyes at the painfully obvious nature of Lin's charade. It was clear her death was fake, especially since they recognized Connie, Erica, and Carly Holden as Lin's own alts. The entire sequence of events was nothing short of toe-curlingly cringeworthy. Within a mere 10 minutes, the original announcement of her death, Erica's question, Connie's response, and Carly sharing the post all unfolded. It was like watching a cringeworthy bad soap opera, leaving those in the know shaking their heads at how desperate and transparent Lin's antics truly were. The same users then began to express their skepticism about the legitimacy of Lin's death announcement in posts on Quora. They pointed out how easy it would be to prove she was still alive by discovering her real name and checking the death records. It was clear that Lin was keeping an eye on these discussions and was alarmed by this because not long after, she posted an obituary to prove she was dead from her Carly Holden alt account. However, it was immediately apparent that the obituary was fake too, and here's why. First, the photo used for her obituary was the same suspiciously photoshopped image of a teenager that she uses for her Quora profile. This choice raises serious questions. Why would her family use a photo that doesn't even remotely resemble the 70-year-old woman she is? They would surely choose a current picture of Lin if they were genuinely honoring her memory. The absurdity of it all was laughable. Only an imbecile would believe that this obituary was real. Next, there was the age discrepancy. The obituary claimed she was 57 years old, listing her date of birth as November 10, 1966. In reality, Lin's actual birth date is November 20, 1954, which means she would be turning 70 next month. Additionally, the obituary referred to Lin by her nickname, Kiki, instead of her real name, Kirby Linda Ritter. This is another red flag. Lin likely avoided using her real name because if people had access to it, they could search death records and easily verify that she was not actually dead. Next, we see yet another glaring discrepancy. On her obituary, it says she died on the 24th of September, but on Quora, it says she died that morning on the 25th of September. When users noticed that the dates of death didn't match, they began to mention it in their conversations on Quora. Lin was obviously monitoring these discussions because she quickly realized her blunder and deleted her bio, rewriting it to cover up the fact that she had gotten the date of her own death wrong. However, users had taken screenshots of the original announcement, leaving her little room to wiggle out of this glaring mistake. The sheer desperation of her actions only highlighted the ridiculousness of her claims. Then users spotted another inconsistency. In the death announcement, it was stated, any posts or comments attributed to her after July 12th are not legitimate. What does that vague statement even mean? Besides, a quick glance at her profile reveals that she continued to make posts and comments well after that date. So, if she didn't post them, then who did? This raises the absurd question. Is she really suggesting that someone hacked her account, purchased her fake ID, and wrote a post about it without her knowledge? To make matters even stranger, after this blunder was pointed out, Lin swiftly edited her announcement to change the cutoff date to September 12th. It's truly astounding how a deceased person can manage to make the many series of adjustments to her profile from the spirit world, wouldn't you agree? When examining the posts shared by Connie Walker and Carly Holden announcing Lin's death, we see a stark contrast between the claims of widespread grief claimed by Lin in her death announcement and the reality of the situation. One post garnered only 21 upvotes, while another received just 13 upvotes. A closer look reveals that many of these upvotes came from Lin's own alt accounts, raising serious questions about the authenticity of the purported support. Despite having thousands of followers, very few real users expressed condolences or reacted to the announcement. This significant disparity speaks volumes about the type of person Lin truly is and how she is perceived by the community and the people that know what she's really like. We can see that Lin used her own alt accounts to leave fake messages of condolence on the posts shared by Carly Holden and Connie Walker. These messages were meant to make it look like she was loved and respected by the Quora community, but in reality, only a few messages were from real people, good people that she had managed to deceive into believing she had died. We can see that the majority of the comments were written by her own alt profiles, highlighting once again how desperate she was to create the illusion that she was well loved and missed. This behavior only served to reinforce just how disingenuous and manipulative her actions truly are. But why would Ritter go so far as to fake her own death? It seems likely that Lin Ritter faked her death due to the embarrassment of being exposed for faking her ID, her pictures, and for using multiple alt accounts to harass and bully others. Lin felt deep shame and embarrassment at being caught. Instead of simply deleting her profile, she decided to fake her own death, likely hoping to receive a final burst of narcissistic supply from others grieving for her. But wait, there's an even more sinister motive behind Lin's actions. It seems her fake death was not just a desperate ploy for sympathy, but also an act of revenge against those who exposed her and stood up to her on Quora. Shortly after her death announcement, she began posting from her alt accounts, suggesting that she, Lin, had been pushed to her death by the bullying of these users. It's important to point out that exposing someone for being a bully and driving others off Quora is not bullying. It's simply holding them accountable for their actions. One particularly outrageous post claimed that she had been driven to suicide. Yet, this is another one of her farcical blunders. As when her fake death was first announced, it was stated that she died during an emergency operation, contradicting the narrative she was trying to create. Lin was clearly using her fabricated death to manipulate the situation and set up those who exposed her. This was a calculated move to portray herself as a victim, hoping to turn the community against those who dared to hold her accountable. Her goal was to ruin the reputations of her critics by making people believe they had pushed her to her death, when, in reality, they were merely standing up against her bullying behavior. Following Lin's outrageous claims, the users falsely accused of causing her death, who knew full well she was alive, were determined to prove their innocence. They began to dig deeper, uncovering her true identity, including her real name, date of birth, and address. This information provided them with undeniable proof that she had fabricated her death, especially when compared to the discrepancies in her obituary, such as her age. Upon checking her real details against official death records, they found no record of her passing. This revelation confirmed what they knew all along, that Lin was alive and well, but now they had solid evidence that revealed the entire scenario as a manipulative ploy designed to make it seem as though they had pushed her to her death. It was yet another shocking, sick, and twisted action in her ongoing saga of deceit. Once Lin's lies were exposed on Quora, she erupted in a fit of rage, resorting to vindictively reporting dozens of other users' posts and engaging in the juvenile act of defacing users' pictures. In a last-ditch effort to smear those who had exposed her fake death, she crafted hateful posts filled with false accusations and slander. This behavior not only revealed her delusional mindset, but also underscored her petty and jealous nature. To amplify her malicious narrative, she enlisted her gullible flying monkey Yvonne to share these defamatory posts. Despite being thoroughly debunked, Lin unbelievably continues to pretend she's dead, exposing the depths of her delusional narcissism and her refusal to confront reality. Who knows what Lin will do next now that she has faked her death? Will she actually delete her profile as stated in her death announcement? Or will she invent some outlandish lie, like claiming she was in a coma the whole time and that it wasn't her who announced her death, but a hacker who accessed her account? Who knows what absurd story Lin will come up with next? As we wrap up this expose, we urge viewers to remain vigilant and cautious regarding Lin Ritter and her numerous alt profiles. So, Lin is very much alive and active on her main alts, Carly Holden and Connie Walker, and many others, where she continues to harass users, vindictively report their posts, and spread her toxicity. It's crucial to be aware of the potential for deception, catfishing, and bullying that Lin and her alt profiles may present. We encourage everyone to report any posts from Lin's alt accounts that engage in slander or harassment against others. By taking a stand and holding these individuals accountable, we can work towards creating a safer online community. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the twisted mind of Lin Ritter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on our future videos.